Part 1. The Discovery That Changed Everything. Dr. Alex worked alone in his small lab on Mars, surrounded by rocks and soil samples that all looked the same to him now. 3 years on the Red Planet, and he still hadn't found what everyone back on Earth was hoping for. Proof that life existed beyond their home world. His coffee had gone cold hours ago, but he kept staring at the computer screen, hoping today would be different. At 32, Alex had given up a comfortable life teaching. At university to join this research mission, his friends thought he was crazy. His family worried he was running away from his problems back home. Maybe they were right. After his marriage fell apart, and his relationship with his teenage daughter became nothing but awkward video calls, Mars felt like the perfect place to disappear. The other scientists at the research station respected his work, but Alex preferred working alone. He'd rather spend his nights analyzing data than making small talk in the cafeteria. Everyone else seemed so hopeful, so excited about every tiny discovery. Alex had learned not to get his hopes up. Space was vast and mostly empty, and he was starting to think they were all just wasting their time. That morning started like any other. Alex suited up for another routine expedition to collect samples from the canyon system near their base. The canyons of Mars were impressive, deeper than any valley on Earth, but after dozens of trips, they'd become just another workplace to him. He loaded his equipment into the rover and headed out across the dusty landscape, watching the sun rise over the rocky horizon. The first sign that today would be different came from his instruments. About 2 hours into the canyon, his equipment started picking up strange readings. The energy detector, which usually stayed quiet, began beeping steadily. Alex stopped the rover and checked his gear, thinking something was broken. But the readings were consistent and getting stronger as he moved deeper into the canyon. He'd never seen energy signatures like this before. They weren't coming from any known mineral deposits or geological formations. The patterns on his screen looked almost like a heartbeat, regular pulses of energy that seemed to be coming from somewhere far below the surface. Alex felt his own heart rate increase. After years of disappointment, could this finally be something real? Following the signals, Alex guided his rover to a section of the canyon he'd never explored before. The walls here were different, covered in strange crystalline formations that caught the sunlight in unusual ways. His instruments were going crazy now, beeping and flashing like a Christmas tree. The energy source was definitely somewhere below. Ground. Alex spent an hour searching the area before he found it. A narrow opening in the canyon wall, barely wide enough for a person to squeeze through. His equipment showed the energy signals were strongest here. He knew he should call back to base, report his findings, and wait for backup. That's what the safety protocols demanded. But something made him hesitate. What if this was nothing special? What if he called in a team of excited scientists only to find another empty cave? Alex had been wrong so many times before. The disappointment on his colleagues' faces when their hopes were crushed was something he couldn't bear to see again. No, he decided. He would check it out first, alone. The opening led to a tunnel that descended steeply into darkness. Alex attached his headlamp and squeezed through, his equipment bag scraping against the narrow walls. The tunnel opened into a larger cavern, and what he saw there made him stop breathing. The walls were covered in crystals, unlike anything he'd ever studied. They glowed with a soft, pulsing light that seemed to match the rhythm his instruments had been detecting. The entire cavern felt alive somehow, as if the rocks themselves were breathing. Alex had studied geology for 15 years, but this was beyond anything in his textbooks. He moved deeper into the cavern, following a path that seemed to spiral downward. The crystals grew larger and brighter the further he went. His heart was pounding now, not from fear but from excitement. This had to be significant. These formations could change everything scientists thought they knew about Mars. Then he saw her. In a chamber at the heart of the crystal cavern, surrounded by pillars of pure light, stood a figure that made Alex question his sanity. She was tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to glow from within. Her hair moved as if underwater despite the still air of the cave. But it was her eyes that captured him, large and luminous, filled with an intelligence that seemed ancient and kind. For a moment, neither of them moved. Alex's scientific mind raced, trying to process what he was seeing, while another part of him felt strangely calm. The figure stepped forward, and Alex noticed that his heart monitor was beeping in perfect rhythm with the glow emanating from the crystals around her. She spoke, but not with words. Instead, her voice seemed to appear directly in his mind, clear and musical. "I have been waiting," she said, "for the one whose heart beats in harmony with mine." Alex looked down at his equipment and felt shock wash over him. His heart rate monitor was synchronized perfectly with the pulsing light in the cavern, not similar, identical. As if his heart and whatever energy filled this place were beating as one. "Who are you?" he managed to ask aloud, his voice echoing in the crystal chamber. "I am what you would call Zara," the voice in his mind replied, "and you are the reason I have waited here for so very long." Before Alex could ask what she meant, before he could even begin to process the impossible situation he found himself in, Zara began to fade. The light in the crystals dimmed, and she stepped backward into shadows that seemed deeper than the cave should allow. "Wait!" Alex called out, stepping forward. But she was gone, leaving only the gentle pulsing of the crystals and the steady beep of his heart monitor, still keeping time with some invisible rhythm. Alex stood alone in the cavern, for what felt like hours, staring at the spot where she had been. His scientific training told him he had experienced some kind of hallucination brought on by isolation and stress. But his instruments told a different story. They had recorded everything: the energy signatures, the synchronized heartbeat, even some kind of audio that sounded like the voice he had heard in his mind. When he finally made his way back to the surface, the sun was setting over the Martian landscape. Alex sat in his rover, looking at the data his equipment had collected, trying to make sense of what had happened. One thing was certain: his life had just changed forever. Whether he had discovered the greatest scientific find in human history, or simply lost his mind, nothing would ever be the same. That night, Alex lay in his bed at the research station, staring at the ceiling. Every few minutes, he would check his heart monitor, remembering how it had synchronized with the mysterious energy in the cave. Even now, hours later, his heartbeat seemed different somehow, steadier, stronger, as if it was keeping time with something beyond himself. He knew he should report his discovery. The protocols were clear, but something held him back. The way Zara had faded when he approached, the sadness he had sensed from her, made him think that involving others might not be wise, at least not yet. Instead, Alex began planning his return to the cavern. He had to know if what happened was real, if she would be there again. The scientist in him needed proof, but something deeper, something he couldn't quite name, simply needed to see her again. As sleep finally came, Alex's last conscious thought was of synchronous heartbeats and the promise of answers that lay waiting in the crystal depths beneath the Martian surface. Part 2. Learning to Connect. Across worlds, Alex couldn't focus on anything for the next 3 days. His colleagues at the research station noticed he was distracted, making mistakes on simple tasks and staring off into space during meetings. Dr. Chen, the station commander, asked if he was feeling okay. Alex just nodded and mumbled something about needing more sleep. But sleep was impossible. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw those luminous eyes and heard that voice in his mind. His heart monitor, which he now wore constantly, showed his resting heart rate had changed. It was slower, steadier, more rhythmic than it had ever been. The doctors back on Earth would be fascinated, but Alex wasn't ready to explain why. On the fourth day, he couldn't stand it anymore. Alex packed his gear and headed back to the canyon, telling his team he wanted to collect more samples from the area. The lie felt heavy on his tongue, but he had to know if Zara was real or if he was losing his mind. The crystal cavern looked exactly the same, glowing softly in the darkness. Alex's equipment immediately started picking up those strange energy patterns again. His heart began beating faster as he made his way to the central chamber where he had first seen her. For a moment, the cavern was empty and disappointment crashed over him like a wave. Then she appeared, stepping out from behind one of the crystal pillars as if she had been waiting for him. This time, Alex was ready. He had prepared questions, brought better recording equipment, and told himself to stay calm and scientific. But when Zara looked at him with those ancient, kind eyes, all his preparation vanished. "You came back," her voice whispered in his mind, and he could hear something like relief in those words. "I had to," Alex said aloud. "I need to understand what's happening to me, to us." Zara moved closer, and Alex noticed details he had missed before. Her skin wasn't just glowing. It had patterns under the surface, like slow-moving rivers of light. Her hair seemed to float around her face, and when she walked, her feet barely touched the crystal floor. "My people call ourselves the Resonai," she explained, settling gracefully onto a crystal formation near him. "We are travelers between worlds, seeking others who can share our connection to the rhythm of life itself." Alex sat down on a nearby rock, his recording equipment forgotten. "Travelers? You mean there are more of you?" There were. Zara's mental voice carried a sadness that made Alex's chest ache. "Our home world died when its sun grew too large and too hot. We scattered across the galaxy in small groups, searching for new places to live and new friends to share our journey with." As she spoke, Alex began to understand that what he was experiencing wasn't just first contact with an alien species. It was something much more personal and profound. The Resonai didn't just communicate through words. They shared emotions, memories, and even physical sensations with those they connected to. "That's why our hearts beat together," Alex realized. "You're sharing your life rhythm with me." Zara nodded, and Alex felt a warm sensation spread through his chest. "It only happens with those who are compatible. In all my travels, in over 1,000 of your Earth years, you are the first being I have found who can synchronize with my essence." Over the following weeks, Alex returned to the cavern every few days. Each visit taught him more about Zara and her people. The Resonai experienced the universe differently than humans. Where humans saw separate objects and individuals, the Resonai felt connections and shared experiences. They could sense the life force in other beings, and, with compatible individuals, could share thoughts and feelings across vast distances. "Chachawa, me?" Alex asked during one of their meetings. "Show me how you see the world." Zara reached out her hand, stopping just short of touching him. "Are you certain? Once we deepen this connection, it cannot be undone. You will begin to change, to become something between your species and mine." Alex hesitated for only a moment before reaching out to meet her hand. The instant their fingers touched, the world exploded into new sensations. Suddenly, Alex could feel the life force of every crystal in the cavern. He sensed the microscopic organisms living in the Martian soil above them. Most incredible of all, he could feel Zara's emotions as if they were his own, her loneliness, her hope, her growing affection for him, and underneath it all, the deep sadness of losing her entire world. But Zara was experiencing his emotions too. She felt his wonder at this new connection, his scientific curiosity, and his own loneliness that had driven him to Mars in the first place. She also felt his love for his daughter back on Earth, a love complicated by guilt and regret. "Your offspring," Zara said, using his memories to understand the concept of family. She carries your essence, your heart rhythm. You miss her greatly." Tears ran down Alex's face as he nodded. Through their connection, he felt Zara's confusion about human family relationships, but also her desire to understand this love that seemed to cause him both joy and pain. "The Rezanai do not raise young as individuals," she explained. "All children belong to the entire community, but I can feel how precious your daughter is to you. This individual love, it is beautiful and terrible at the same time." Their conversations began to last for hours. Alex would arrive at the cavern after his regular work shift and stay until the early morning hours, learning about Zara's people and sharing stories of human life. She was fascinated by human emotions, especially the complex relationships between parents and children, friends and lovers. "Your species feels so much," she marveled during one late-night conversation. "The Rezanai share emotions, but humans create them. You make love and anger and hope out of nothing but your own thoughts. It is remarkable." Alex found himself changing in ways that went beyond the synchronized heartbeat. His senses were becoming sharper. He could detect emotional undercurrents in his colleagues' conversations that he had never noticed before. Food tasted different, more complex. Even the Martian landscape, which had seemed barren and lifeless for years, now felt alive with subtle energies. But the most significant change was in his relationship with loneliness. For the first time since his marriage ended, Alex didn't feel alone. Even when he was back at the research station, going through the motions of his regular work, he could sense Zara's presence like a warm light in the back of his mind. "This connection we share," Alex asked one evening, "is it like love? The way humans understand love?" Zara was quiet for a long moment, and Alex could feel her searching for the right concepts. "Your human love is about choosing one person above all others, about promising to be together despite differences. The Rezanai connection is about becoming part of each other, sharing the same essence. I do not know if they are the same thing. But what I feel for you is unlike anything I have experienced in 1,000 years of existence." Alex realized he was falling in love with someone from another world, someone whose very existence challenged everything he thought he knew about life in the universe. But more than that, he was becoming something new, something that was neither fully human nor fully alien. "What happens to me as this connection grows stronger?" he asked. "I do not know," Zara admitted. "This has never happened between a Rezanai and a member of another species. We are exploring unknown territory together." That night, as Alex walked back to his rover under the Martian stars, he felt a mix of excitement and fear. He was part of the greatest discovery in human history, but he was also becoming something that might no longer be entirely human. And somewhere in the back of his mind, he could feel Zara's heartbeat matching his own, a constant reminder that his old life was ending and something entirely new was beginning. Part 3. When two worlds collide, Alex had been visiting Zara for almost 2 months when everything started falling apart. His secret trips to the Crystal Cavern were becoming harder to hide, especially when his behavior grew more unusual each day. He would zone out during meetings, staring at nothing while feeling Zara's emotions from miles away. Sometimes he would smile for no apparent reason when she shared a happy memory, or suddenly look sad when she remembered her lost home world. Dr. Lisa, his closest colleague at the research station, started asking uncomfortable questions. She had noticed Alex's frequent solo expeditions and his strange distraction during work hours. More worrying, she had observed changes in his physical appearance. His skin looked healthier, almost glowing. His eyes seemed brighter, more alert. Even his hair had taken on an unusual shine. "Alex, you're scaring me," Lisa said one morning over coffee. "You look like you've discovered the fountain of youth, but you act like you're living in another world. What's going on?" Alex tried to laugh it off, but he could see the genuine concern in her eyes. Lisa had been a good friend for 3 years. She deserved better than lies, but how could he possibly explain the truth? Who would believe that he was falling in love with an alien being and slowly transforming into something that wasn't quite human anymore? "I'm just feeling better lately," he said weakly. "The Mars air must be agreeing with me." But Lisa wasn't satisfied with that answer. Unknown to Alex, she had started tracking his movements. She noticed that his solo expeditions always went to the same section of the canyon system. Her scientific curiosity was aroused, and she decided to investigate. The crisis came on a Tuesday evening. Alex was in the crystal cavern with Zara, sharing stories about his childhood on Earth. Through their mental connection, she was experiencing his memories of playing in his backyard, learning to ride a bicycle, and celebrating birthdays with cake and presents. The concept of aging and celebrating the passage of time fascinated her, since the Resini lived for thousands of years and marked time very differently. "Your species creates joy from the smallest moments," Zara marveled. "A day when you were born becomes special forever. Even the memory of sweet food and colored lights brings you happiness." Alex was about to respond when he heard footsteps in the tunnel leading to the cavern. His blood ran cold as he realized someone had followed him. Zara sensed his sudden fear through their connection and immediately began to fade, preparing to disappear into the crystal formations. "Wait," Alex whispered urgently. "Don't go. Whoever it is, they've already seen too much." Lisa emerged from the tunnel, her headlamp cutting through the soft glow of the crystals. She stopped dead when she saw Alex sitting in the center of the cavern, apparently talking to empty air. Her eyes widened as she took in the impossible beauty of the crystal formations and the strange energy readings on her instruments. "Alex, what is this place?" she breathed. "My equipment is going crazy. These energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases." Alex looked at Zara, who had become barely visible among the crystal pillars. Through their connection, he felt her terror. Her people had been hunted by other species, captured and studied like specimens. The thought of becoming a scientific curiosity again brought back painful memories that Alex experienced as waves of anguish. "Lisa, you need to leave," Alex said quietly. "Please, just forget you saw this place." But Lisa was already moving deeper, into the cavern, her scientific training overriding everything else. "Are you kidding me? This could be the discovery of the century. These crystal formations, this energy source, we need to document everything and report back to Earth immediately." "No!" Alex said more forcefully than he intended. "You don't understand. This isn't just a geological formation. There's someone here, someone who doesn't want to be found." Lisa stopped and stared at him. "Someone? Alex, there's no one here but us. Are you feeling okay? Maybe the isolation is getting to you more than we thought." At that moment, Zara made a decision that changed everything. Instead of hiding, she stepped forward into the light, becoming fully visible. Lisa's jaw dropped, and her instruments started beeping frantically as they detected the energy field surrounding Zara's body. "Hello, Lisa," Zara said, speaking aloud instead of using her telepathic communication. Her voice was musical, with an accent that belonged to no Earth language. "I am sorry you had to discover us this way." Lisa stumbled backward, nearly dropping her equipment. "This is impossible. You're not human. What are you?" Alex stood up and moved protectively closer to Zara. "Her name is Zara. She's from another world, and she's been living here for over 1,000 years. Living here? On Mars?" Lisa's scientific mind was racing, trying to process what she was seeing. "But that's impossible. Mars can't support complex life forms. How have you survived? What do you eat? How do you breathe?" Zara looked at Alex, and he nodded encouragingly. Through their connection, he shared his trust in Lisa, his belief that she would understand once she knew the whole story. "My people do not require the same resources as humans," Zara explained patiently. We draw energy directly from planetary forces and stellar radiation. We have been traveling between worlds for millennia, seeking others who can share our connection to the life force of the universe. Lisa sat down heavily on a crystal formation, her mind struggling to accept what she was experiencing. This is first contact. This is the most important moment in human history, and I'm sitting in a cave on Mars, having a casual conversation with an alien being. It's more complicated than that, Alex said. He could feel Zara's anxiety growing as Lisa talked about the historical significance of their meeting. Zara's people have had bad experiences with other species who wanted to study them. She's not interested in becoming a science project. But the knowledge she could share, Lisa said, her excitement building. The technology, the scientific insights. Think about what this could mean for humanity. We could learn about other worlds, other forms of life. This could change everything. Alex felt Zara's fear spike through their connection. She had heard these arguments before, from other species who had promised friendship but delivered only captivity and experimentation. Through their bond, Alex experienced her memories of being hunted, of watching her people scattered across the galaxy to escape those who would exploit them. "Lisa, I need you to promise me something," Alex said urgently. "You can't report this. Not yet. Not until we figure out how to do this safely." "Are you insane?" Lisa stood up, pacing around the cavern. "We have protocols for this exact situation. First contact procedures that have been planned for decades. We can't just keep this secret." "Those protocols were written by people who never imagined meeting someone like Zara," Alex argued. "Someone who's been hiding from species that want to use her. Someone who's finally found a place to feel safe." Lisa looked back and forth between Alex and Zara, and for the first time she noticed something that made her heart skip a beat. Alex's vital signs, displayed on his ever-present monitoring equipment, were perfectly synchronized with the energy pulses coming from Zara. Their heartbeats, their brainwave patterns, even their breathing were matching exactly. "Alex," she whispered, "what's happening to you? Your biological readings are synchronizing with hers." Alex took a deep breath. The moment he had been dreading had finally arrived. "That's what I've been trying to tell you. This isn't just first contact. It's something more. Zara and I are connected in ways that science doesn't have words for yet, and that connection is changing me." Lisa's expression shifted from excitement to concern. "Changing you how?" I can feel her emotions as if they were my own. I can sense life forms that were invisible to me before. My body is becoming stronger, healthier, more in tune with natural rhythms. But I'm also becoming dependent on our connection. When we're apart for too long, I feel physically ill. The implications hit Lisa like a physical blow. "You're not just studying her. You're bonding with her, becoming part of her species." "I don't know what I'm becoming," Alex admitted, "but I know that if you report this discovery, if you bring in teams of scientists and government officials, it will destroy something beautiful and unprecedented. And it might destroy me too." Lisa looked at Zara, who had remained silent during this exchange. "Is this true? Is Alex really changing because of your connection?" "Yes," Zara said simply, "and I am changing too. For the first time in 1,000 years. I am not alone. For the first time since my world died, I have hope for the future. But if your people try to separate us or study us like specimens, that hope will die, and Alex may die with it." Lisa sat in the glowing cavern, surrounded by impossible beauty and faced with an impossible choice. She held in her hands the greatest discovery in human history, but using that knowledge might destroy the very thing that made it special. The scientist in her wanted to document everything and share it with the world. But the human in her could see the love and trust between Alex and Zara, and she understood that some things were more important than scientific glory. "What do you want me to do?" she asked finally. Alex and Zara looked at each other, and Lisa could almost see the silent communication passing between them. When Alex turned back to her, his eyes held a desperation she had never seen be. Part 4. When Everything Falls Apart. 3 weeks after Lisa discovered their secret, everything went wrong at once. Alex woke up one morning to find urgent messages flooding his communication device. Earth Command had detected unusual energy signatures from Mars and was sending an investigation team. Worse, someone had leaked information about the discovery to corporate interests who saw profit in alien technology. "We have maybe 48 hours before they arrive," Lisa said, bursting into Alex's quarters without knocking. Her face was pale with worry. "I don't know how they found out, but there are ships already launched from Earth. Military, scientists, and at least 3 different corporations." Alex felt his heart sink, and through his connection with Zara, she immediately sensed his distress. Even though she was miles away in the crystal cavern, her emotions flooded through him: fear, sadness, and a terrible sense of inevitability. Her people had been through this before on other worlds. "She's scared," Alex said quietly. "Zara's people have been hunted before. They've been captured, studied, and worse. She's remembering what happened to her friends on other planets." Lisa sat down heavily in the chair across from him. "There's more, Alex. Your ex-wife called the station yesterday. She's bringing your daughter to Mars." "What?" Alex shot to his feet. "Why would she do that?" "Apparently, Earth Command contacted her. They told her about some of the changes in your medical reports, the improved health, the unusual vital signs. They convinced her that you might be in danger, and they're using her and your daughter as leverage." Alex felt like the world was spinning around him. Through his bond with Zara, he could feel her confusion as she experienced his panic about his family being involved. The concept of using loved ones as tools of manipulation was foreign to her people, and the cruelty of it shocked her. "They want to use my daughter to make me cooperate," Alex realized. "They think if she's here, I'll be more willing to let them study what's happening to me." "Probably," Lisa agreed grimly. "But Alex, there's something else you need to know. The transformation you're going through, it's accelerating. Your medical scans from yesterday show changes that shouldn't be possible." Alex looked down at his hands. Even he could see the difference now. His skin had a subtle luminescence, similar to Zara's, but fainter. His reflexes were faster, his senses sharper, and he barely needed sleep anymore. But most significantly, being away from Zara for more than a few hours now caused him physical pain. "How long do I have before the change becomes irreversible?" he asked. "I don't know," Lisa admitted. "But based on the rate of change, maybe a week, maybe less." That afternoon, Alex made his way to the crystal cavern, probably for the last time. Zara was waiting for him, but she wasn't alone. 3 other figures stood in the shadows behind her, tall, luminous beings with the same otherworldly grace. Alex had never seen them before, but through his connection with Zara, he knew immediately who they were. "My companions have awakened," Zara explained. "They have been in deep sleep for centuries, but they sensed the approaching danger. They want us to leave Mars immediately." The largest of the 3 beings stepped forward, and when he spoke, his mental voice was cold and formal. "I am called Keeper by your kind. We have decided that this experiment has failed. The human species is too aggressive, too eager to exploit what they do not understand. We must depart before they arrive." "But what about Alex?" Zara asked, and Alex could feel her anguish through their bond. "He cannot survive the separation now. The connection has progressed too far." "Then he must choose," Keeper replied, turning his luminous eyes toward Alex. "Come with us and abandon his human life forever, or stay and face whatever his people plan to do to him." Alex felt the weight of the impossible decision. Through his bond with Zara, he could sense the cosmos beyond Mars. Other worlds, other civilizations, a vast network of beings connected by the same life force that now flowed through him. The Rezanai could take him to places humans had never dreamed of, show him wonders beyond imagination, but he would never see his daughter again, never have the chance to repair their relationship or explain why he had chosen this path. He would become something that was no longer human, no longer part of the world he had grown up in. "There has to be another way," Alex said desperately. "What if we could make the humans understand? What if we could show them that this connection is about cooperation, not exploitation?" The third Rezanai, a female being with silver patterns under her skin, laughed bitterly. "We have tried this on 17 different worlds. It always ends the same way. They promise friendship and deliver captivity. They speak of cooperation and practice domination." "But not all humans are like that," Alex argued. Lisa understood. "My daughter would understand. There are people on Earth who genuinely want to learn and grow, not just take and use." Keeper shook his head. "One or two individuals cannot change the nature of an entire species. We leave at sunset. You must decide. Before then." As the other Rezanai faded back into the crystal formations, Alex found himself alone with Zara. The pain of their approaching separation was already making him feel weak and dizzy. But worse than the physical discomfort was the emotional agony they both felt, the knowledge that their unique connection might be about to end forever. "What do you want me to do?" Alex asked, taking her luminous hand in his. "I want you to be happy," Zara replied, and Alex could feel the tears she would cry if her species was capable of crying. "I want you to have the life you were meant to. Have with your daughter, your people, your world. But I also cannot imagine existing without you. For the first time in 1,000 years, I understood what it meant not to be alone." They sat together in the glowing cavern, sharing memories and emotions through their connection. Alex experienced Zara's childhood on her home world, a place of impossible beauty where beings of light danced among crystal trees under purple skies. Zara experienced his memories of his daughter's laughter, the joy of teaching her to solve puzzles, and the pain of watching their relationship crumble when his marriage ended. "She looks like you," Zara observed, seeing his daughter through his memories. "But she has her own fire, her own strength. You love her very much." "I do," Alex admitted. "But I've been a terrible father. Too focused on my work, too afraid of getting hurt again. I came to Mars to run away from that failure. And now you have found something worth running toward," Zara said gently. "But perhaps running is not the answer. Perhaps it is time to face what frightens you most." As the sun began to set over the Martian landscape, Alex realized what he had to do. The choice wasn't really between staying or leaving. It was between fear and courage, between hiding and standing up for what he believed in. "I'm not going with you," he said finally. "And I'm not asking you to stay. But I am going to try something that's probably impossible." "What?" Zara asked. "I'm going to try to change how this first contact happens. Instead of letting fear and greed drive the process, I'm going to trust in the best parts of humanity. I'm going to tell my daughter the truth and hope that her generation can do better than mine." Zara studied his face, seeing the determination there. Through their connection, she felt his resolve, his willingness to risk everything for the chance to build a bridge between their peoples. "This could destroy you," she warned. "If you are wrong about your species, if they choose exploitation over understanding, you will be trapped between two worlds, belonging fully to neither." "Then that's a risk I have to take," Alex said, "because the alternative is giving up before we even try." As Keeper and the other Rezanai prepared to leave Mars forever, Alex walked back toward the research station, knowing that the most important conversation of his life was waiting for him. His daughter would arrive tomorrow, and with her would come representatives of humanity's best and worst impulses. The next 24 hours would determine not just his own future, but possibly the future of two species, and somewhere deep in his changing heart synchronized with the rhythm of an alien world. Alex found the courage to hope that love might be stronger than fear. Part 5. Hearts that Beat as One. The transport ship from Earth landed on Mars just as the twin moons were rising. Alex stood at the observation deck of the research station, watching the dust clouds settle around the landing pad. His heart was beating fast, but not just from nervousness. Through his connection with Zara, he could feel her presence in the crystal cavern miles away, sharing his anxiety and offering what comfort she could. The first person off the ship was his daughter, Kate. At 17, she had grown taller and more confident than the awkward teenager he remembered from their last video call 6 months ago. Her dark hair was longer now, and she carried herself with a determination that reminded him painfully of himself at that age. Behind her came his ex-wife, Jennifer, looking worried and confused. She had never understood his obsession with finding life beyond Earth, and now she was being told that obsession might have put him in danger. Following them were the officials, military officers, scientists, and corporate representatives, all eager to investigate the mysterious energy readings that had brought them across the solar system. "Dad?" Kate called out as she entered the station. When she saw him, her expression shifted from uncertainty to shock. Alex knew he looked different. His skin had a subtle glow now, his eyes were brighter, and there was something in his posture that spoke of newfound vitality. "You look—" she started, then stopped, unsure how to finish the sentence. "Different," Alex said, smiling sadly. "I know. There's a lot I need to tell you, Kate. Things that are going to be hard to believe." Dr. Williams, the lead scientist from Earth, stepped forward impatiently. "Dr. Peterson, we need to discuss these energy readings immediately. Our instruments detected massive surges coming from the canyon systems. What exactly have you discovered out there?" Alex looked around at the assembled group, his family, his colleagues, the officials who saw only opportunity and threat. Through his bond with Zara, he felt her watching from the cavern, ready to flee if necessary, but trusting him to try something unprecedented. "Before we go anywhere," Alex said firmly, "I need to speak with my daughter alone." The officials protested, but Kate stepped forward. "Give us an hour," she said with surprising authority. "Whatever's going on here, my father deserves the chance to explain it to his family first." 30 minutes later, Alex and Kate sat in his quarters, facing each other across a small table. Alex had prepared for this conversation for days, but now that the moment was here, he didn't know where to begin. "Dad, you're scaring me," Kate said quietly. "Mom said people from Earth Command called her. They said you might be in some kind of danger, that your medical reports showed impossible changes. And looking at you now, what's happened to you?" Alex took a deep breath. "Kate, what would you say if I told you I've found what I've been searching for my entire career? What if I told you I've made contact with someone from another world?" Kate's eyes widened. "Are you serious? You mean actual aliens? Here on Mars?" "Not just contact," Alex continued. "Something more, a connection that's changing me on a fundamental level. Kate, I'm falling in love with someone who isn't human, and that love is literally changing what I am." For a long moment, Kate just stared at him. Then, to Alex's surprise, she leaned forward with excitement rather than fear. "Tell me everything." Over the next hour, Alex shared the entire story, finding Zara in the crystal cavern, learning about the Resonai, experiencing the synchronization of their heartbeats and minds. He told her about the transformation he was undergoing, the way his senses were expanding, and the impossible choice he now faced. Kate listened without interruption, her scientific mind, so much like his own, processing the implications. "When?" he finished. She was quiet for several minutes. "Can I meet her?" she asked finally. "Kate, it's dangerous. If the officials find out about her, they'll want to study her, maybe capture her. Her people have been hunted before. Then we don't let them find out, Kate said simply. Dad, this is the most important discovery in human history, but it's also your life, your happiness. If this connection is real, if it's changing you into something new and wonderful, then maybe that's exactly what humanity needs right now. That evening, as the officials grew impatient for answers, Alex made a decision that would change everything. Instead of leading them to the crystal cavern, he brought his daughter there alone. Kate's wonder at the glowing crystals and impossible beauty of the underground chamber reminded Alex of his own first reaction. When Zara appeared, stepping out of the crystal formations like a being made of starlight, Kate gasped but didn't run. She watched in fascination as Alex and Zara's heartbeats synchronized on the monitoring equipment, saw the way they communicated without words, witnessed the obvious love and trust between them. "Hello, Kate," Zara said, speaking aloud as she had learned to do for Alex's benefit. "Your father has shared many memories of you. You have his curiosity and his courage." "You're beautiful," Kate said simply. "And Dad's right. You two are connected in a way I've never seen before. Even looking at you both, I can tell you're sharing something deeper than words." Through his bond with Zara, Alex felt her immediate affection for his daughter. Kate's open acceptance and genuine interest touched something in Zara that had been closed off since the loss of her own world. "The officials from Earth want to study us," Alex explained to Kate. "They see Zara as either a threat to be contained or a resource to be exploited. But what if there was another way? What if we could introduce humanity to the Resonai gradually, carefully as equals rather than subjects?" Kate thought for a moment, then grinned. "What if we gave them something else to think about first? Something that would change how they see this entire situation?" "What do you mean?" "Dad, you're not just in contact with an alien. You're becoming something new, something that's part human and part Resonai. You're proving that two different species can not only coexist, but actually enhance each other. That's not a threat. That's evolution." Over the next few days, Kate helped Alex and Zara develop a plan. Instead of hiding from the Earth officials, they would reveal themselves gradually, but on their own terms. Kate would serve as a bridge, helping the human representatives understand that this wasn't a situation to be controlled, but a relationship to be respected. The revelation came during a formal meeting in the research station's main conference room. Alex stood before the assembled officials, his daughter beside him and Lisa supporting them both. Through the station's communication system, Zara's voice could be heard clearly, though she remained safely hidden in her crystal sanctuary. "What you're about to witness," Alex began, "is not first contact as we've always imagined it. This is something unprecedented, a true partnership between species, a connection that's creating something entirely new." He placed his hand on the heart monitor they had set up on the table. Instantly, the rhythm of his heartbeat filled the room through the speakers. Then Zara began to speak, and as she did, a second heartbeat joined the first. Identical, synchronized, perfect. "My name is Zara," she said, her musical voice filling the silence. "I am what you might call the last of my people, and Alex has become the first of something new. We are not aliens to be studied or threats to be contained. We are partners in the next step of consciousness itself." Dr. Williams and the other scientists leaned forward, their instruments detecting energy patterns unlike anything they had ever seen. But instead of seeing readings to be analyzed, they were witnessing love, made manifest, connection given form. "The choice before humanity," Alex continued, "is not whether to accept aliens among you. It's whether to evolve beyond fear and suspicion towards something greater. Kate understands this. Lisa understands this. The question is whether the rest of our species is ready to grow." Kate stepped forward, her young voice carrying a conviction that surprised everyone in the room. My father isn't losing his humanity by connecting with Zara, he's expanding it. He's showing us what we could become if we choose love over fear, cooperation over domination. The room fell silent except for the steady rhythm of two hearts beating as one. In that moment, everyone present understood they weren't just witnesses to history, they were participants in the next chapter of consciousness itself. Some of the officials would try to exploit what they had learned. Others would fear it. But enough would understand that some discoveries are too precious to be owned, too beautiful to be controlled. Months later, the Crystal Cavern became the first interspecies embassy, a place where humans and Resini could meet safely and learn from each other. Alex remained there as the first ambassador to another species, his transformation complete, but his humanity enhanced rather than lost. Kate returned to Earth to study xenobiology, preparing for a future where such connections would become more common. And Zara, no longer alone after 1,000 years of isolation, began the slow process of calling her scattered people home. In the depths of Mars, two hearts continued to beat as one, proving that love truly was the universal language, capable of bridging any gap, even the space between worlds. The greatest love story ever told wasn't between a man and a woman, or even between two humans. It was between two conscious beings who chose to become something greater than either could be, alone, creating a new form of existence.